Hi, and welcome to another episode of Life Lessons in Bon Jovi songs. And it feels a little bit like bottom of the barrel here, but it's the last episode before the holidays. So this is a series that I post every 2 weeks, and um, so it's already like there's always a week in between. If you don't want to miss me in that week, then subscribe to my other English channel, and then you will see me every week. No, so I have a 2 week holiday coming up, and that means that the next live lesson in Bon Jovi songs is in 4 weeks. So subscribe to this channel for that one. It's 2026 when I'm recording this, and we're doing this whole album. It's May right now. We're like in the middle of side B of the vinyl. But after this, there's just a ton of outtakes, a ton of songs that were not released on the album coming after this one. So like post summer, we'll be having all the songs that you never heard of that are also tied to this album. So 2026 is New Year, New Jersey, and we're doing this whole album, including everything that didn't make it to the album. I already said it, we're at side B, and I feel like it's a very bottom of the barrel kind of video. But that seems kind of fitting because I'm like right before the holiday. This is the final video I'm posting before my holidays. So I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes sense that we're at that level. And yeah, so why does it feel like bottom of the barrel? Well, because first of all, it's a very small song. It's like 1 minute 30 seconds or something. And was recorded in mono, so it is, and it was also recorded as if you're listening to a vinyl that was played for by a radio station in 1965. That's how it's recorded. So it has a very vintage feel to it. It's really, yeah, it's very cinematic in that sense. It really takes you back in time. And this song is actually um, part of part of three songs in a row that all refer to a kind of cowboy lifestyle. So I did catch myself kind of wondering what actually is the cowboy lifestyle, because I live in the Netherlands and we never had cowboys here. So I like for decades I was buying into their analogy of the steel horse, and feeling like cowboys when they were on tour and living from their suitcase, and they visit the town and they play the gig and they get the girl and then they go to the next thing. I like for decades I have bought into that, and now I'm like, what are cowboys and what are they doing? Do they even have something to do with cows? Is there a difference between mercenaries? Because I can see like a mercenary coming to a town and saying things about, shooting guns and everything. But why is that tied to cowboys? Like, what is the job description exactly of a cowboy? So it's like decades after Bon Jovi made the first cowboy analogy, and I'm sitting and I have to cover a cowboy song, and I'm like, exactly how this touring of a band tie into cowboys? I'm probably not the best person to provide evidence of this seamless analogy. Um, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm just gonna ride with it. So on the B side of this album, there are three songs that are tied together, and they're kind of like the cowboy themed songs. They're Wild as the Wind, Ride Cowboy Ride, and Stick to Your Guns. So this is really kind of like in the middle of the three. And this is the song that is that was, you know, the 90-second song that sounds like a radio from 1956. Um, and it was actually the intro to the third one in this group of songs. So Ride Cowboy Ride is kind of like soft, it's dimmed down, it's mono, it's very vintage. It's very modest. The only instrument you hear is a guitar, and then Ride Cowboy Ride just ends, and then it blows up into the beginning of Stick to Your Guns. So it has that contrast between um, the full blown Stick to Your Guns after the very modest introduction, the acoustic song Ride Cowboy Ride. So yeah, so that is kind of like the context of the song. It is one of many cowboy themed, cowboy related songs, and these three songs on the B side of this vinyl: Wild as the Wind, which we did last time, Ride Cowboy Ride, which is this one, Stick to Your Guns, which is after the holidays in a month. Those are really kind of like recognized as, the cowboy heart of it. But if you want, you can also call Homebound Train, which was even before that, which is the opener of side B. You could also say that that is already a cowboy themed song. So then you would have four in a row and not three. So I did some digging, and I found a performance of Ride Cowboy Ride on the streets of Moscow. And after, I will put the recording in below. I'll put the video in below. And after the Ride Cowboy Ride intro, or after Ride Cowboy Ride on the streets of Moscow, it crosses over to Wanted Dead or Alive, which is actually the normal way in 1989. This was a 1989 recording. Ben was there together with other bands as well, for the Moscow Peace Festival. And these are photos that were taken. Like, this photo was taken on the plane, and this is when they come out of the plane. And there's actually a lot of footage of these bands performing there in 1989, including the whole concert, including also the whole performance of Bon Jovi. I think it was 2 nights actually in Moscow, but I'm not sure. So before they had their big gig in the evening there, they played the streets of Moscow, and this was filmed, and it was broadcast on Japanese television, but it was not a very well-known performance. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago, or something like 2023, 2024, until other footage surfaced, and the whole recording of what had happened on the streets of Moscow was recreated, and we can get a lot of more context to what was actually happening. So now we can really see that the other band members. So it was an acoustic performance on the streets by John and by Richie, and so now we can see the other band members. We can see that the other band members were actually there. They were participating, and they were connecting with the audience. And it's just that was not visible on the original footage of the performance that was cut for Japanese TV. So I have selected that performance of Ride Cowboy Ride to kind of like go with, you can find it in the description box or in the blog post if you're reading that one. So that is the Ride Cowboy Ride performance, and I already said it. It leads into Wanted Dead or Alive, and that is how it was played, how it was performed. So on the record, Ride Cowboy Ride is the introduction to Stick to Your Guns. But on the tour that surrounded this album, or that was that it had after this album, so the New Jersey Syndicate tour, Ride Cowboy Ride was the introduction to Wanted Dead or Alive, and not to Stick to Your Guns. So that was it. That was my bottom of the barrel, bottom of the barrel video. Like, okay, I don't have anything else. So, like, yeah. What is the life lesson? Well, the first life lesson is that I have caught myself, going along with the whole cowboy analogy without knowing what a cowboy actually does. That is that's an interesting life lesson, that you find out that there's just so much things that we don't know. What's the job description of a cowboy? I have no idea. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, that bottom of the barrel things happened right before the holiday are a sign that you may need a little break, that you may need a little rest, that you may need rejuvenate yourself in some way, refresh yourself, get some fresh inspiration. And yeah, I have no other things to say. Yeah, no, I don't. So this is it. I hope you too, that it provided value in some way. Even though the life lessons were a bit meager, which were don't talk about things that you don't know anything about. And the other one was take a holiday if you notice that you're creating bottom of the barrel stuff. Yeah, okay. That's the life lesson. That's all I have for you. That's all I have for you, I'm afraid. And I'll see you again in 4 weeks with the third of this trilogy of cowboy songs. Stick to your guns. Okay, see you then. Bye.